We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on Anthony Schwartz, newest Miami Dolphins wide receiver. Not what I thought I'd be doing today, but they just signed him to the practice squad, and he has legit elite track speed. That's like the first thing you obviously notice. I knew this about him coming out of Auburn, receiver, played for the Browns for a few years, wasn't very successful, and now gets signed to the Dolphins practice squad. Didn't have the highest hopes coming into watching the film. I knew what he struggled with. He was more of a track guy than a football player. The physicality of the game, things like that. He doesn't have the best hands. Like, I don't think running like the timing routes in the offense with him out there, if he does get some playing time, that's not really where you want him. But I think there's a couple ways he can be used and actually have some effectiveness in the offense. If there's one place where he could be effective, it's in this Dolphins offense. Used on these gadget type plays, the end around. Dolphins love to run this. Getting him the ball in these types of situations, getting him out in space with his speed, obviously, that will very much help. Getting him in motion, even, not getting the ball, things like that, just spreading out defense horizontally, making him be like a decoy type of player, which could also be helpful. But I think one area where I would really like him is on those like two-man concepts, especially where you saw on the Chargers. They have one guy running that deep dig, the other one like more of it's like the dagger concept, things like that. But basically as a clear out, as you'll see him running routes down the field, he gets down the field in a hurry. Having him like clear out safeties, having guys pay attention on him is going to be huge, I think. So not even getting the ball, I don't think, he has some drops, as you'll see in some of these videos, and you don't want to throw him over the middle type plays. It's more just let him work deep and take out guys out of the play. And I will give him credit. It was pretty much what I expected watching the film, but there's one thing kind of unexpected. He was open a lot more than what I thought was going to happen from how he was talked about from, Browns fans, things like that. He did get open a decent amount of times. It's just he's not the greatest at finishing at the catch point. Here we got Schwartz on the orbit motion, get him around, try to, widen the defense, but they don't even go to him, so they give him this option, make a play on the flat. You can just see the explosiveness. This is like one of the examples. He does catch the ball away from his hands. I mean, it's not like he can't catch a football. This is a nice play, but he has some pretty bad hand catch technique and will drop some passes, especially when there's guys around him. But out in space, he can make some catches, and you can just see the explosiveness, athletic ability, make this guy miss here, stick that foot in the ground, and then get upfield instantly. I think that speed could be helpful in certain situations depending on the game. He might never even play, who knows? I don't have the highest expectations going into it, but I think he could be a fun player on this squad, especially as like a clear out gadget type of player. Dolphins did put it on the Browns in this game last year, but he actually was open on a decent amount of plays. Like, he was beating his corner off the ball, and you can just see the speed. A lot of times with these speed guys, they don't really know exactly what they're doing, and I think Schwartz isn't like the pay attention to detail type player either, but he is a little bit more than just straight line speed too. Like, he has a little bit of, left to right to him. He can set this up, get you to open up your hips like this. This is Justin Bethel, and he kind of abused Justin Bethel. Didn't have a big game stat line wise, but he was getting open, gets over the top of him, stacks, and you can just see how much space is created instantly with just that pure speed. They have to get a safety over the top, and then it gives you a one-on-one matchup to the other side, but it doesn't end up getting completed. But do like to have that option for your offense. Another example of him just working down the field, getting open. You can just see the speed. It is insane. A lot of these plays, he's not getting the ball, but like Dolphins playing, in a too high safety look. He's that slot option number 3. Get around this guy and then bend this back towards the middle. Now imagine this as your clear out, and the Dolphins have like Tyreek running a dig from the outside number 1, and he clears out the the DB or the linebackers, and you have all this room to work with to the middle of the field, and Schwartz gets down there in a hurry. I think that's the biggest thing. Everything is timing in this offense, and they throw the ball down the field very quickly, and Schwartz is one of those guys that can get downfield very quickly to clear out space for like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle to go to work. And I think that's an underrated, like probably the biggest part of the signing, in my opinion, if he does end up playing, is what he would bring. Is everything is about timing, and you just tell him, hey, run down the field as fast as possible to this spot, get on, the hash mark, get down the field, split the safeties, pull the guys with you, and that will help create some space. And if he does that, then maybe he starts even getting some touches as like, on those like jet sweeps and things like that. Using him on the motion here, and then you can just see the speed. Look what it does to the Bills defense. Milano has to go with him, and then they throw the screen behind it. He can just be used as a guy that's more of a decoy out there. This is something you could easily see being used in the Dolphins type of offense. Maybe not the screen behind it, but that motion, getting him out on the edge like this, and it just gives one-on-one matches everywhere. And even, maybe throw him up one of those eventually if that was going to work out. Don't feel too comfortable with him coming down unless he's wide open, but I do like at least the speed element that he could bring. Dolphins get late to a line over here, and look how fast Schwartz gets off the ball. Trying to get up on him, and he just is gone. so much faster than everyone else. And this is like sort of the game. Like, look at the space that gets created here, because he gets off the ball so fast. They have Cooper here. This guy ends up being wide open because they're lined up late. And then you'd have Cooper coming open here. There's all this room to this sideline because he's taking two guys with him on, this deep lane, running like, some different sail type concepts. He's not going to be the greatest player if you're throwing him the ball, but I do think he can have that impact in this way by just opening things up for other players. A lot of his film is him just blowing past some people that are trying to get hands on him. He doesn't really, ever get the targets because he ends up running towards safeties, but because this is single high. But look at him just get through this. Guy tries to get physical. He knows he has over the top. He's probably trying to play trail, but he's not trying to play trail where he's, 3 to 4 yards ahead of him. They have to have safety help over the top. But just, I can imagine them watching the film and being like, hey, you don't want to throw him in this ball because it's still likely that he doesn't end up completing it, because you kind of have to probably throw it perfect for him to catch these balls down the field. But imagine him working middle of the field down. You have Tyreek motioning across on the digs, running cheat motions, things like that. That could be very, very helpful. I think that's exactly what they see envisioning him. I still don't have like high hopes as him as a player being productive, things like that, but I do think he could have this little impact that goes kind of unnoticed watching games live. It's actually a pretty nice route. I don't really think of him as a route runner, but he does give you a little bit of something there that he can at least give, a little. He doesn't get the target, but he absolutely burns Jack Jones on the Patriots. Gives a little bit of a setup, attack the outside leverage. Think when you're running like this, a lot of the times it's an out route. You're trying to maintain that, get that outside leverage subtly, and then you stick that foot in the ground. Sell with your eyes and your body. He could do maybe a tiny bit better job selling, but it gets him to break on this, and he's so fast out of this explosion that he gets wide open. A little bit better of a separator actually than I expected, because sometimes with speed guys, they're just pure speed and they become predictable and actually pretty easy to play for corners. But Schwartz actually looked better than I expected. I still, as you'll see like right after this, there's definitely negatives to his game, but I do think, like as I've shown throughout the video, there's plenty of example of him getting open or clearing out things down the field, and I think that kind of fits in perfectly for what the Dolphins need. This is 3rd and 3, and Schwartz drops an easy one on an in-breaker. Not what you want to see. And then they throw him like the exact same thing on the next play. He also drops it, as you'll see right after this. He just has poor hand catch technique, especially when the ball like is coming right towards him and it's like breaking towards the middle of the field, or he's sitting down in the middle of the field. It's just not a comfortability to his game, and I think that is a place where he does not fit, and the Dolphins should not be trying to throw him timing in breakers at all. Then the next play, literally same exact thing. He gets the off look to this side, but more of a slant this time, and he drops it again. This is terrible hand catch technique. I don't know what he's doing with his hands there. It doesn't make any sense. Trying to, like, the extension that he does and how he tries to catch it from where it is in proportion to his body, it just is really, really bad, and that's by far his biggest negative to his game. But the Browns did use him in plenty of different ways on these end arounds, just getting him the ball out in space. He has that, elite speed. Nothing too crazy going on here, but he is some guy that can definitely get involved if he were to. I think if if there's any place he would have to have success, it's in this Dolphins offense. It was basically made for players like him to be successful, and if you get all this space, you'll definitely like having the ball in his hands in these types of situations. Last play that we're going to break down for Anthony Schwartz. This is actually, a pretty solid football play, other than him just running using track speed. Find a soft spot in the zone. He sits down. They have to roll out in the pocket. He rolls with it, stay with it, scramble drill, make a catch, actually catch it away from your frame above. I feel like he actually catches balls that are like above his head pretty well. With better hand catching. But when it's like at his chest, he uses like the most awkward hands. His hands, like he has like one hand high, one hand low. It tries to alligator it. But he makes a catch here, falls forward for a few extra yards. It's nice to at least make, that's like a solid football play. Getting open versus zone, sitting down, flowing with your quarterback in scramble drill, and then making a catch away from the frame. Usually he's more of a track, there's track guys that play football that are still football guys. Like there's those guys on the Dolphins, all they're good players. Like Achane is a track guy, but he is also a football player that has track capabilities. Schwartz, more of a track guy that is just a track guy, but plays football, and I don't know if it will ever translate for him. And, I hope it works out. Don't have the highest hopes. But there is, I think, a slight role for him on this team if, he shows up to practice, works hard, does those things, if they want to elevate him. I don't know how the things are looking injury-wise, but I could see him, having a little bit of an impact on those clear outs and gadget type plays. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let's get next time. Peace.